Hey guys, GameBoy3800 here once again, and I'm going to give you another case unboxing. This is another Raidmax, and this is the Pogona. And this is a replacement for my N8 case that was destroyed by the eBay scammer when he sent it back. And now this is going to be a review and a build log at the same time. So, what's in the box? Well, the case. I'll see you when it's out and ready to be shown. Okay, here it is. The foam is in great shape considering it came from across the country. It's pretty hard foam. I usually prefer soft foam, but hard foam I guess is stronger, so hooray. Coming out of the plastic bit here, we find a case, surprisingly enough. There we go. Plastic wrapping is off, and here's what it looks like. The front case has a 5 1/4 inch bay, and your USB 3, USB 2, and headphone and microphone. And then the front, the rest of the front is nothing else but venting. Taking it off, I can see that the top connectors are all going inside. And you can see that there's room here to fit the fans or radiator in, so you can support a 240mm radiator, and that's pretty slick. Let's come around to the side, where you see we have 2 more fan slots for 120mm fans. This is for cooling the CPU and the GPU. Taking off this left side panel, it shows that it does come with a power supply. It comes with one of their own power supplies. I do not know the quality of Raidmax power supplies, but I shall be using my own either way. It's not an 80 plus model either way. Right here you see that it comes with a lot of zip ties, tons of zip ties actually, some drive mount rails, and some extra screws and a little manual. And then they give you a power cord too. That's nice. At the top here, they have a big little zip tie holding all the front connectors. It's not very much here. It's just the USB 3, it's the audio, and the USB 2. And then coming around from the back is the power and reset buttons. Power and reset buttons are right here next to the Raidmax logo. Also beneath the Raidmax logo is a light that will light up blue or something. I don't know which color, but it will be fun to find out. It comes with a single 120mm fan in the back. There you go. And let's take a look at the left side. You can see that the left side does bulge out, which is good for cable management. Popping that off, find that there's a pretty big CPU backplate opening. That's good for LGA 1150 and 1151, or if you're using anything older than that, like 1155, it's still good. And it's got some areas around here where you can use these zip ties to manage your cables. It's got a CPU connector cut out here, and it looks like you could also have something else popping up through here. And then you have the usual cables would come through here and route them around back. And that's the overview of the case. I'm now going to build something inside of it, but first, if you take a look over here, it's got lots of holes and stuff. That's to mount SSDs and stuff, which is actually pretty neat, considering that This is only a $40 case, and it's got SSD mounts on the back. It's also got a toolless system for the 5¼ inch drive. So if that's your thing, and you like to use the 5¼ inch drives, like I am going to do right now, this is a great system. There's a Blu-ray drive. Throw it in the front. Then when it's mounted into place, all you do, put it back in the slot, twist, and now it's locked in there firm. And it's good to go. So, yep. I will see you when the build is complete. Okay, I have run into an issue here where my 240mm radiator, which are H105, will not line up with the holes they give. It's too big, it's too fat. I don't think turning the radiator around would do anything, but you shouldn't turn it around either way because then it will not be through the top. Whatever, I shall try to turn it around and see if I can get it to fit. Other than that, everything went in smoothly, so let me get this turned around and see if it works. I could not turn it around. My tubing isn't long enough to stretch around and not cover up the PCIe slots. So this means that I will have to come up with something different. I could throw a 120mm radiator on here. That'll work just fine. But it's not what I wanted. Whatever. I shall swap out the radiator and give you the update when that's done. Okay, this is how it cleaned up all inside. It did pretty good, I think. I was able to do push-pull in the radiator there. I shoved the GTX 960 in there. I could not fit the Blu-ray drive in there like I wanted to because the capacitors on the motherboard get in the way. I put in a CX430 instead of the iffy 500 watt one that came with it, just because. 4820K, it's now using a 120mm radiator and an Alienware pump. It should still work good. And then in the front, I put in a couple of Aero Cool Shark fans. You can probably see that. If not, I deeply apologize, for I have failed all of you. I had some issues with the case, mainly because the motherboard is so fat. Mainly the motherboard would end here, and you would have room to get the 24-pin through and all the SATA cables through with no issue. But because this motherboard is so fat, it takes up the holes, so I had to squeeze everything through some tiny holes. And while that does work, it's not the best for the cables. And the back SSD mounts, while they did work, you need to use a straight SATA and straight power connectors. Otherwise you end up breaking the plastic bit off the connector like I did right there. But other than that, I found that the hard drive cage is removable with just a couple of thumb screws, and that is actually really good. It made it possible to fit the radiator in there, even though it wouldn't screw in right. And even though you can't use the top 5¼ inch bay, you can still get an adapter and use a 3.5 inch accessory like card readers and stuff. And that's about it. The back panel went on easy enough. I did not have the stand on it. And the left side panel, I did not put any fans on it because I think fans on the side panel look kind of stupid. But it's up to the buyer. The system's for sale right now. it's up to the buyer if he wants to add more. There's more fan slots on the motherboard, so he can do whatever he wants. And there we go. Gotta get the top part on correctly. I'm hoping it will go on because the radiator's right there. Yeah, it's on. So screwing it in. There we go. There are a few complaints other than that, but they all have to do with building in a small case. Like, I have huge hands, so it's not easy for me to get to all the screw places, but that's expected. One thing I did not notice though at first is that the fan here can actually slide up and down depending on how fat your radiator is. So that's cool. And I currently have no idea what the power switch is because it's not labeled on the front here. Both of the buttons look identical. And they don't click and stay in, so I can't tell. So it will be a mystery to me. I'm going to power the system up so you can see how it looks and see how it sounds. Alright, the right button is power. Looks pretty nice, although I wish it was a red thing, and I don't have any blue fans, so it's going to look purple and off. But yeah, it came out pretty nice. It was easy enough to build in, just there was a few issues, and they were kind of expected. And the fact that this does support a 240mm radiator, you just have to make sure it actually fits. And it does have a removable hard drive cage in case you only want to go SSD. That's really cool. It was spacious enough in the back to easily build in. And there's still more room for expansion. You can have more fans, you can have more graphics cards. It's a really good case for $50. And it comes with a power supply. Although I always recommend getting a more trusted brand like Corsair or MATX that makes good power supplies. It is pretty good. So $50 case with power supply, easy to build in, and it looks slick. I recommend it. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Thanks, Gameway out. See you next time.